Hello everyone, and welcome to this 2v2 showdown featuring Wintertooth and Norsca, who are going to be facing off against Bordello and Bretonnia. So for this match, it's going to be myself and Gojira Gaming facing off against Janet on occasion and the Gobbo King, the ever-chosen himself. The battle will be taking place on the Sword of Throgg, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a quest battle for Wulfrik the Wanderer, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this thematic battle. And without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So over here you can see the armies of Wintertooth, which is going to be my army here. And in the front line, we do have 3 groups of Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes, which I think are incredibly good against Bretonnia. They're very fast with 90 speed, and if you look at most Bretonnian cav, let's go ahead and take a look. So the Grail Knights have 75 speed. I think, does Lance Formation affect that? I'll have to go and I think it doesn't anymore, but I'm just going to check to be double sure here. So yeah, it has no negative penalties. It does give them acceleration though, so if they're able to get close to me, they can certainly close the gap. So he has a bunch of Grail Knights and Questing Knights, all of which have, speed in the 70s and high 60s. So these guys make an excellent tool for kiting Bretonnian heavy cav and really kind of dragging them into the mud. In the front line, I got a combination of Marauders just to absorb the Peasant Bowman fire. So most Bretonnian players, myself included, against Norsca, I like to bring a couple fire arrows because that keeps Skin Wolves honest. It's pretty good against Throgg and just really good at burning down Berserkers, literally and figuratively, and definitely quite powerful. So I do have Berserkers in the secondary line to cut through the low-tier Bretonnian troops, but these guys are the real heavy lifters in the matchup, the Fimir warriors with great weapons. These guys are heavily armored, so they can absorb the Bretonnian charges. They have missile resist against peasants, anti-large, armor-piercing, armor-sundering, magic damage, which gets around their shields. They're just probably the best unit on the entire roster against Bretonnia, in my opinion. So we have 2 Fimir warriors. We have a Fimir Balefiend with shadows, so Melkoth, Enfeebling Foe, and Pendulum. We got Big Daddy Throgg. He's really good in this matchup as well. Anti-large, armor-piercing, frostbite. He can pretty much take on any of the Bretonnian lords. He's good against cav and just very survivable. And here is my ally. Here's my ally, the mighty Gojira Gaming. In the front line, he's got Berserkers. He does also have a couple Marauder Spearmen, which are a very wise choice. Charge defense, anti-large. They're there to just be, the gluttons for punishment. In the front, he has Norscan Warhounds to probably chase archers. In the back line, he does have some hunters. So maybe he's expecting some Pegasus or Royal Hippogriff Knights or something else that he wants to poke with these guys at a range. A Fimir Balefiend with shadows, and also he has a Skin Wolf Werekin. So these guys, they did get nerfed quite heavily. I think, look at him, he's like foaming at the mouth. He's so ready for this. He got some pretty good changes, I would say, for the overall balance of the game, but he used to just be a powerhouse. But they raised his cost by like 300 or 400, and I think he's quite fair now. But anti-large, AP regeneration, physical resist, just solid. And his armies are going to be led by Wulfrik the Wanderer, so pretty excited to see him in action. I still think Throgg is the optimal pick, but again, this is a thematic matchup, and we wanted to pretty much have different lords in our armies. So that is it for the armies of Norsca and Wintertooth. And over here, the armies of Janet and the Gobbo King. So Janet is going to be playing Bordello here. He has Alberic. He's got a bunch of Ground Knights, which are obviously very good against Skin Wolves. They can hurt Fimir. It takes time, but I do like the Grail Knight pick here. Going to be pretty scary. In the front line, a cheap front line, as most Bretonnian players do. He does have the Holy Wardens, and these guys are really going to just wreck shop in the front line. They hit incredibly hard. 48 weapon strength, fire damage, magic damage. So Skin Wolves beware. Pretty much anything fluffy should beware of the Holy Wardens. So that's it here for his forces in the front. Peasant Bowman with fire arrows. Questing Knights in the back to deal with champions. I like it quite a bit. And Gobbo King. Gobbo's getting a little hog wild. He's got Royal Pegasus Knights, Grail Guardian, King Louen up here in the sky. So they're going with the heavy Bretonnian forces. Spearmen at Arms, Peasants. Looks like he does have a Damsel with Life. Bunch of arrows and Grail Guardians. And I think he does have the Beast Slayers of Bashdone in the back, which, if you guys haven't seen, are the ROR of the Foot Squires with anti-large halberds. Definitely necessary against Norsca. So without further ado, let's let the battle begin. So you can see Gojira's forces are going to be advancing against Gobbo King, and it's going to be a bit of a 2-pronged battle. And we thought about advancing as 1 Death Star, but since we're not really like a ranged army, I think that would be a little bit wasted because we'd have a lot of troops, stacked on top of each other. Plus, this obstacle right here in the middle, this like a little farmhouse, is kind of forcing us to split up a little bit. So right here, my forces are going up. A very good Flock of Doom from Janet on occasion. He's able to catch a couple of my troops and definitely is going to butter the bread of these Berserkers. But regardless, we should be there in just a moment. In the meantime, you can see that Janet's archers are tearing into some of my spearmen who don't have shields. And definitely, not a bad idea, but if memory serves, I think he does switch on to the Berserkers here in just a moment. But the Marauders with their bronze shields are going to absorb some of this fire, and again, they are dirt cheap, so I'm very happy about that. My horseman just kind of riding around trying to see where he's going to commit his cav, but it looks like this is going to be the main cav engagement. So what I do is I push my spears forward as a screening tool. I pull in the Fimir. I'm also getting Throgg over, the second group of Fimir, and all of a sudden my, my Marauders are going to come over and help. So a very heavy cav charge coming in from Janet. It's just going to wreck these Marauders, but that's basically what they're there for. They're there to serve the dark gods, and this is, how their gods have chosen they shall meet their end of days here. So they get rode down by the glorious Bretonnian Knights, getting a lot of damage, and the same thing going over here. But these are spearmen. They're going to be slightly more durable, and you can see the Fimir coming in. So the Fimir are just angry. They got their clubs out. And they're definitely dragging down a couple of these Bretonnian knights on the retreat. You can see Throgg, just the Troll King himself, coming in to attack some of these spears. And Spearmen at Arms, even though they're anti-large, are just going to get crushed by these Norscan troops here. In the middle, the Marauders continuing to take the damage from those Grail Knights, but I do have a very heavy contingent of horsemen just throwing in axes and melting these Grail Knights. And like I said, they're great. And Throgg's going to get in there. Oh, a nice wave from Janet coming in there, but I do dodge it with my guys, and that is Alberic's special ability. But the Grail Knights here in the middle are just getting melted by throwing axes. And I also have Hounds here, so things are pretty wild. On the other side of the battlefield, you can see that a pendulum going down, and I believe that was from Gojira Gaming. But it looks like the Gobbo King is definitely winning the engagement as far as infantry go. You can see his Holy Wardens are just crushing these Berserkers right here. But this is definitely going to be really scary. Gobbo King, aside from this situation right here, is doing very well. Although it looks like Wulfrik and the boys are winning this engagement here. And King Louen, what is he fighting? He's fighting Skin Wolves and a couple other troops. And it looks like he did pop the Sword of Chrome. But Bretonnia is certainly dominant on this side of the battlefield. And Gobbo King did lend some Grail Guardians to the fight over here. But it looks like he's going to be pulling them back to re-engage right here, or maybe crush the back line. But Louen doing a really good job just, pushing off these Skin Wolves and just kind of wearing these guys down. But Gojira on that same note does get some Norscan Hounds into the back line. But Gobbo coming in with the Pegasus Knights, the Noble Knights of Bretonnia. But, it looks like they decided to feign a charge. But I think they're going to come back in here and probably jump on some of these Hounds. The Hounds still taking a ton of damage, even though they're infantry size. So definitely pretty powerful stuff. Gojira, in the meantime, though, his Berserkers have gotten into the cookie jar of the back line. Some Spearmen at Arms are shattered trying to fight off these Skin Wolves. And they're the armored variant. So they're going to be even tougher to kill. So let's take an overarching look at the battlefield here. You can see this battle is pretty much dead even. Balance of Power is dead even. A very good Earthblood going down from the Gobbo King. And King Lowen's full health. Although his Grail Guardians are surrounded. And it looks like, Wulfrik and the boys are doing well. The Skin Wolves are just ravaging the back line. So there's no end in sight over here with the Beast Slayers kind of holding things down. On my side of the battle, you can see that it's also very even. But we did get a really good wrap over here on Alberic. So the Famir and Throgg and all of those guys were able to just huge whooping. And we also popped the Enfeebling Foe to lower his combat stats. And I knew he was trying to get away. So I get my Norscan Ice Wolves right here. I get a great wrap on him. He's now down to, no way. Is that even after the Frostbite? Yeah, I guess he's at 75 speed. Okay, I was like 99 still after the Frostbite. So he's frostbitten right now. And I could smell the blood in the water. So I position a firing line of horsemen here who are just peppering down these knights and these Bretonnians. And then you can see Throgg just weathering the fire arrows, just pushing forward with his Famir. You can see he's got his mouth agape. He's ready for some blood. That's a pretty cool cinematic right there. Throgg just bullying through the Bretonnian knight, coming for Alberic. And Alberic is definitely in the wrong neighborhood. So Throgg's in here, the Famir in here, and the Frostwolves are slowing him down to 75 speed. He's probably not going to be able to get away. He's trying his best to push through, but anticipating his retreat here, what I do is I position my Marauder Horsemen, and they're just going to have a huge firing gallery here while the Wolves just kind of nip at his heels. You can see he's at about 200 HP, just taking a ton of damage. He's shattered 77 HP, and Alberic does fall, and leaving his forces to kind of fight, the mighty Troll King on his own. So Alberic has fallen right here. You can see the battle still relatively even over here. There's, the Holy Wardens are still fighting. There's some peasant archers in the back line, as well as the Damsel. But it's going to be a little bit tough to take out Throgg, in the Famir, because, they don't really have too many great tools. Famir are very heavily armored, and Throgg can regenerate through a lot of that. On this side, it looks like King Louen did get surrounded and killed. I believe Wulfrik the Wanderer and the boys. Yeah, let's actually take a close look. It looks like he did get dragged down. So Gojira Gaming was able to grab Louen. I'm getting all the lords confused. Was able to grab Louen with the Skin Wolf Werekin, a Bale Fiend here, as well as Wulfrik the Wanderer with the Hunter of Champions, and was able to really finish him off. But still a very pitched fight. The Holy Wardens are fighting. You can see Grail Knights coming in, Peasant Overwatch Fire coming in on these Berserkers who are just fighting. So essentially, if we were to take a bit of an analytical look at this part of the battlefield, Gojira has strong leadership. His Skin Wolf is here, his Caster is here, and the Famir Balefiend, all that kind of stuff, and Wulfrik. But the infantry battle, I think, has mostly gone to Gobbo. He has a very heavy force of Grail Guardians over here. He has Pegasus Knights. So an even fight for the most part, but I think that Gojira's forces might get worn down through just pure attrition right here. But it looks like a pendulum coming in. It does catch some of those guys and do a little bit of damage. But yeah, it's going to be tough to take these guys down. Wulfrik has 100 armor and just all kinds of crazy stuff. So over here, the fight's pretty much broken. The forces of Janet on occasion and Bordelot have broken. The Spearmen, the Holy Wardens, everyone is just running at this point. Throgg, the Troll King, and his Famir, and the Bale Fiend are all going to be pushing forward now, and you can see that my Marauder Horsemen have pushed over, and they're going to start kind of, pressuring the side of the battlefield and trying to take some of the pressure off my ally. So the Marauder Horsemen just kind of screening up. I really wanted to get on these Peasant Bowmen here. I knew it was a bit of a trap because there were so many cap, but I was like, I'm just going to shut them down to kind of relieve some of the pressure. And the Marauder Horsemen hordes, the hordes of Norsca, You can see the field, oh, are these like the fields of Torgwald? I wonder what they're called. But anyways, it's a really, really cool map. One of my favorites. We charge in there, get a lot of damage. Wulfrik the Wanderer also comes in to assist, but the Pegasus Knights coming in, and a very good Earthblood from the Gobbo King. Just Knights coming in and picking off my Marauders as I try and retreat. Just a very dicey situation, and you can see with that, the bounce of power does come slightly back to the middle. This battle's certainly too close to call, because my army is very tattered here. Aside from Throgg, and Janet has some forces that could rally. He doesn't have any leadership or like stopping power, but still, it is a numbers game here. So my Famir are pushing in. You can see they're going to start fighting some Knights most likely here in a moment. A very good Pit of Shades going down over there right on top of the Beastslayers of Bastion from Gojira Gaming. And it looks like Wulfrik has gotten onto the Damsel with Lore of Life, which is a very, very good pick. If Wulfrik can somehow chase her off the battlefield, that's going to eliminate a lot of the strain on this game here for Gojira and I. So let's go ahead and take a look at the bounce power. Again, relatively even. Our forces are 280 to 904. So again, Bretonnia, a lot of peasants, so you can expect there to be a lot of troops. But I'm just doing kind of a circling maneuver with my Marauder Horsemen, looking for good targets, just trying to pick off whatever I can, and really just scooting and shooting, as they say, and also chasing down some of these peasants. So we're getting some good engagements on the peasants. We don't want them back online because they can pick apart my Marauders. But now it's time for the final battle. So the Famir are coming in. You can see Wulfrik the Wanderer is here. And now he finally has some support. Throgg is also going to be here as well. We're able to club down a ton of those Knights, which is going to be a really, really good grab for us. And the Bretonnian Knights, they still have a really decent core here. You can see the Grail Guardians 37. We got, just a lot of these guys riding around. And he gets a really good engagement here. He's able to take advantage of his acceleration. And you can see the Marauder Horsemen are in a... I don't know how that guy's arm... Oh, it looks like he was putting the axe on his back. But yeah, he's not in the best shape. It looks like a little friendly fire for that guy. And the Bretonnian Knights could potentially chase him off the fields of battle here. Let's go ahead and see here. And they do have that acceleration, but I'm able to peel away with one group, which is really nice, but the other one just getting punished. And you can see I'm trying to use the Troll King to peel, but those Knights are just persistent and just on the hunt. Over here, the Skinwolf Werekin is going to be fighting some spears, which is definitely an unfortunate situation for him. But is there two... there's a group of... Oh, those are one of the armored Skinwolves. The Werekin is right here, and yeah, you can see he's regenerating through a lot of this petty damage. But once those Royal Pegasus Knights are able to get on him, that could certainly be a very, very dicey situation. Gojira has some rallying, though. Marauder Spearmen, he also has some Javelins, and at this point, those Javelins could actually do some good damage to those Pegasus Knights. But Janet, on occasion, who has salvaged his Damsel, is going to be charging in, probably shutting those guys down. And the Holy Wardens of Bretonnia are just doing a very, very good job, just despite the fact that they're almost dead, taking out these Marauder Spearmen. So if we look over here, you can see my, not my Knights, but my Marauders are back online. We're getting really healthy fire into those Grail Guardians. As far as kills, 29, 20, and 32, almost all of which are against Bretonnian Knights, so definitely paying for themselves. And Throgg is just leading this heavy Norscan contingent, just crushing the peasants on the field. And Throgg has just had so much stopping power, especially with Wulfrik's help here. They've just been kind of riding around, just taking care of whatever threats are left. In the back, my Norscan Ice Wolves are hunting down some of the scraps, trying to force off the Beastslayers of Bastion. But you can see the Gobbo King retaliates really well. His Pegasus Knights doing a great job lancing these poor hounds as they are kind of broken off the battlefield here. You can see they're broken. Hopefully they'll be able to rally for me. But the balance of power is now in Gojira and I's favor pretty handily. We're just kind of pushing through. There's no more leadership for Bretonnia. So Louen is gone, Alberic is gone. The Bretonnian kings of old definitely falling pretty quick to the forces of Norsca and Chaos here. And Wulfrik the Wanderer is in pretty good shape. He doesn't have healing like Wulfrik, but he's still at half health and is a very durable lord in his own right. And Throgg and the Famir are pushing through. And now the Marauder Horsemen, having run out of ammunition, are going to have to just fight here. They're just going to have to go in tooth and nail, take out these peasant bowmen, and this is definitely a great situation. I mean, their combat stats aren't terrible, and they also throw while they're going, so it's like a little bit of 2-for-1 here. So they get in. You can see the peasants are going to be sent back to their dirty hovels here in the countryside by these Marauder Horsemen. Let's go ahead and take a look and see if there's any other stuff for Bretonnia. So the damsels here are still fighting. There is a pocket of Bretonnian troops, 54 of the Holy Wardens, but here comes the Sea Fang. So Wulfrik gets a huge Sea Fang. You can see the Chaos marks right up there on the sails, and you can see the Skinwolf Werekin just being so heavy metal. Oh, look at that. There's actually guys on that boat. I never noticed that. That is so cool. So they just ride through and shred those Spearmen at Arms. So very, very well played by Gojira with that. And then from here, the Famir and Throgg. I think Throgg wanted, it was getting a little sick. So he tried to throw it, but nothing came out. So he's just going to be pushing through to finish off these troops. So very well played to the Gobbo King, Janet on occasion, and Gojira Gaming. That was an incredibly fun thematic 2v2 on the Sword of Torgwald there. But ultimately, this army is what I would probably bring against Bretonnia on ladder as well in 1v1. I just felt very comfortable playing it. Maybe I would substitute out these Marauders for spears just to be even more durable against Cap. But having those shields against the peasant arrows is good. But yeah, we got a lot of value out of these guys. Really, the Famir and Throgg carried it. My infantry... Janet did an amazing job. He pounded my infantry with these questing knights. My whole center pocket just collapsed. So very well played. Thankfully, we were able to kite him and get his lord, which I think was the key to our success. Gojira and Gaba's battle, which is dead even. I mean, I couldn't have called that. Like, if I was casting that game, like, I felt like that would have just gone on for eternity. And it was really good. And I like that Gaba brought 175, 123, 119, just insane kills. The Holy Warden's 141 and Janet's got 38. But man, a lot of kills on these cav here. So again, make sure to check out the channels of everyone involved, Gojira, Janet on occasion, and the Gobble King. They'll all be linked in the comment section below. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this thematic battle. And if there's anything else you guys would like to see in this regard, like you want to see, you know, a big vampire siege of one of the Empire territories, or something with the Dark Elves, or, you know, a Sword of Cain thematic battle, let me know, and I'd certainly like to oblige. So thanks again for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we will see you guys next time.